Hi, my fellow screenwriting enthusiasts. It's Paul from Small Town Movie Critic. Now, if you're new to the channel, we are all about helping you write that kick-ass screenplay by giving you tips, tools, inspiration, and product reviews. Now, in today's video, we're introducing a companion series to our script-to-screen series called Script Elements. In this new series, we are going to be looking at screenwriting elements and how they are used in films. And for today's video, we're going to be looking at the element of set-off and payoffs in Wonder Woman 1984. Now, there's going to be spoilers ahead, so if you haven't watched the film and you don't want to be spoiled, please watch this video afterwards. Now, I touched on this concept before in my video about No Country for Old Men, and you can watch that here. But today we're going to actually flesh out this element a little bit more. And if you're wondering why this is important in the first place, setup and payoffs help propel the movie forward and helps the audience satisfaction levels immensely. Now, you can think of setup as akin to foreshadowing. The definition of foreshadowing, says Larry Brooks, the author of The Story Fix, is anything that links to or reveals a glimpse or hint of a forthcoming story point or issue of characterization, but that is not yet recognized by the reader as a salient story point itself at the moment of its revelation. So another way to think about this setup is that it lays the groundwork for scenes to follow. So understanding this definition of setup, we can see that payoff is simply fulfilling what we've set up. Now we're going to explore 3 different examples of setups and payoffs in Wonder Woman 84, which was written by Patty Jenkins, Jeff Johns, and Dave Callahan. Now you're going to want to watch the end, because at the end we're going to talk about the most inefficient setup and payoff in the movie and how it has hampered the story, and even more importantly, how would we go about fixing that. Now, this first example we're going to explore today is an efficient use of a simple setup and payoff. Now, before we get too much further in, I want you to think about writing a little differently. Now, a great mentor of mine reminded me that there is no good writing or bad writing. There is only efficient or inefficient writing. And let's be honest here for a moment, because every writer at times writes garbage. Aaron Sorkin wrote garbage. Stephen King wrote garbage. Diablo Cody wrote garbage. The difference between them and us is that for many of us, we get down on ourselves in our writing, and we call it bad. And this is one of the worst things that can happen when we write, because it makes us feel like we need to quit. We don't want to write anymore. However, if we think of our writing as only being inefficient, it allows us to keep working on it, to keep moving forward, to make it more efficient. And this way we keep on writing, because I can't tell you how important it is to hear and share your stories. And so I think it's important that we keep on writing so that we can finish our scripts, so that people can see these wonderful ideas that we are putting out there. Our first example of an efficient setup and payoff comes in how we are introduced to Wonder Woman's golden armor. Steve, played by Chris Pine, spots a package that is being hung on the wall in Diana's apartment. Inside of this package, he finds some golden armor. When he asks Diana about it, she tells him the backstory of the armor through a flashback. Basically, it was used by one of the great Amazonian warriors to hold off men or mankind while the rest of the Amazons escaped. Now, this is the setup that this armor is only used in dire situations. So later at the climax of the movie, when Diana needs to battle Barbara, who is a superhuman apex predator, and stop Maxwell Lord from destroying the Earth and all of humankind, she dons this powerful armor. So we as the audience better understand and appreciate the stakes a little bit more. We understand how dire of a situation this is, in that Wonder Woman is putting this armor on. Now, you can also have scenes which have separate setups and payoffs, which are included in the same scene. Now, a great example of this is Barbara's interaction with a drunken businessman. The setup is that Barbara is walking to work, and she just gets done handing a meal to a friend of hers who is homeless. And as she continues to walk to work, she's attacked by this drunken man. Now, luckily, before things get out of hand, Diana comes in and saves the day. So this sets up the relationships Barbara has with these two characters. She's nice to the homeless man and scared of this drunken man, and upset and mad at this drunken man. Now, a little later, when Barbara gets her superpowers, she meets up with this drunken man again. Now, this time, she beats the living stuffing out of him. And it's only through her friend showing up, who was homeless, that she doesn't end up killing the drunken guy. And that is the payoff of the setup. Now, the scene also sets up that the Barbara that we knew at the beginning of the movie, who was nice and friendly, she gave this meal to this homeless friend of hers, is changing to becoming a ruthless killing machine. And we see this payoff at the climax of the movie, where Barbara wishes to be an apex predator, thus sacrificing any bit of humanity that we have seen up until now. Again, this is another example of an efficient setup and payoff dynamic. Now, if you're liking the content, please like and subscribe, because it really does help the channel out. Unfortunately, there is a pretty big inefficient setup and payoff in this film that I feel really wrecks the enjoyment of this movie. It comes right out of the gates for us when the young Diana competes in the Amazonian Games. We see that there is a scene where Diana is winning big but gets knocked off her horse. She then cheats to get back in the lead, and she is about to win the competition when she gets pulled aside and is disqualified because she's cheated. Now, the young Diana is told that no true hero is born from lies. I want you to remember that because that's something important. Because as an audience member, since that whole beginning scene was focused on that statement, on that outcome, we have that expectation, we have that payoff that we're looking for where Diana is going to learn about this particular lesson. But however, the script and the movie doesn't do this for us. Now, you could make the argument that some of the other characters like Max and Barbara showcase this setup and payoff by taking a shortcut to being these very powerful beings. However, Diana's wish isn't to be more powerful or super wealthy or wise. It's to have her old boyfriend back. So how does that compare with our setup that no true hero is born from lies? Diana loves Steve. There's no lie there. The screenwriters instead tried to save the script with a compelling storyline that has Diana having to give up Steve in order to save the world. However, this wasn't what the setup was about, was it? And this is why I think the ending comes across so flat. So what could we have done differently to make this a more efficient setup and payoff? Now, we could have either changed the setup or payoff piece, and maybe the lesson that Diana learns instead during that competition is that love hurts, or that it takes more than wishes for things to work out. Now, we would simply have to rewrite that first long scene to showcase this new direction, and I think a change like this would make the ending more meaningful and more impactful. But what do you think? How would you write this setup or payoff to make the beginning and the ending go together better? So, as you're writing this week, think about setups and payoffs. How can you include them in your script to help draw the reader along and make the story stronger? I hope you found this helpful. Keep writing, and I can't wait to see that next script of yours. And if you're curious and if you want to learn more about screenwriting, there's a friend of mine, the mentor that I mentioned earlier in the video, has a course about screenwriting. This is how I've got interested in doing screenwriting myself again, and also why I've been making these videos. Now, I don't get paid for this. This is not an affiliate link or anything like that. But if you want to know more about this program that he has, feel free to take a look at the website that I'll have linked in the description below. And in the coming days, he's going to be having a newer program that's going to be focused on screen metal fundamentals. And as soon as that comes out, I'll link that description or that website in the description below. We'll see you in the next video.